Yeah, cool. That should be clear. Port below.
Yeah, tier 3. When you see any movement in there.
Hi, my name is Daniel and you're watching the Rogue Clone Trooper channel. Today we're going to talk about the detonator that goes on the back of the Clone Trooper armour which is attached to the belt. It's one of the main items that I've had to still make to finish my armour. Okay, this item I had problems trying to procure it from different places. You can go to the Imperial Supply Depot in the US and get it made and sent over to you. He does parts for it. There's a few other places, but I ended up going to a company called Sanatized Creations in Germany. This is a guy I've kind of got to know. He's not a friend, but he's a guy I do respect and I do have a lot of time for, and his name is Dino. Dino is a member of the 501st and he's also a clone trooper as well, and he's realised that there was a big market for parts for clone trooper armour that people were not making, especially for people in Europe couldn't get their hands on. So he has been making for the last say year and a half now, and getting his company up and running, the different parts that people need to make their suits better, such as the shoulder straps, elbow straps, knee straps, boxes, and lots of other parts. Now he's also doing the helmets. He's actually probably one of the best helmet makers in Europe at the moment. I'll leave a link to Sanotized Creations down below. I contacted him as he had just started making these kits, and this is the detonator kit that he produces. At the time that I bought it last October, he was selling them for about 30 euros. For me then there was an extra 20 euros shipping on top of that, so altogether I paid 50 euros for it, which is really not a bad price, as it came as a full complete kit. After this I found out that he does the belts as well. Unfortunately I had already bought my belt from DW Designs. As I said in my last video, if I had the chance I would have bought the belt from Sanotized Creations as well, because it is a silicone belt. Dino mainly works in silicone parts, and they are amazing. Okay, so do check them out. He often does what they call D samples or B samples, which are not perfect, and he'll sell them off a slightly bit cheaper. If you don't mind having a battle damaged clone look, then you can pick up some really good parts at a really good reasonable price. Now when I ordered my detonator, when it arrived, as you can see here, the box was heavily damaged in the post. This had nothing to do with Sanotized Creations. This had to do with the post office and it traveling all the way from Germany to Japan. The other thing I found then when I opened up my package, that the cylinder that they had sent was not perfectly round, and then it was actually thicker than the end caps. They would not sit on them properly. So I did contact them. They got back to me very quickly. For some reason I was sent a B part which I shouldn't have been sent. That was a mistake on their part. They were greatly apologetic, and at no extra cost they sent me out the right part. Now this is the standard part that they normally send out. It is a cast resin tube that they do themselves. It does need a lot of cleanup and a lot of work with it, but it is a perfectly good part to use with their end caps. Now I'm having problems with my Dremel at the moment, and I don't really have the time for sanding and everything else with this to get it working, but I do have plans for this, so I will be using it. But I did find please excuse me, I did find that I could very easily pick up a drain pipe at my local hardware store, which is exactly the same dimensions as this and fits the end caps absolutely perfectly. There is no wobble at all. They fit onto it exactly right. So I basically got an 8-foot tube for about 5 euros, brought it home, cut it to the exact size with a handsaw, and now I'll be using this for the tube of my detonator. I did contact Sanotized Creations and say, hey, why don't you send these out instead? It will cost less and actually be lighter to send and everything else, but unfortunately they have a problem of trying to find these in Germany. It's not very easy for them, so that was the reason why they don't send these out. But if you can get them yourself at your own home depot, this is what I would suggest to use, because there is very little cleanup and work to do on these compared to the piece that Sanotized Creations send out. But that's up to you, that's your choosing. But this is what I will be using. I will be drilling some holes in the back part and using a special piece to connect this to my belt, and then all I have to do is glue my end caps on and then stick on my buttons. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to prep this, get this ready and get it put onto our belt. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do with all the parts now is I'm just going to give them a light sanding to give the paint something to grip onto, and clean up any of the burrs that are on it. So everything should be fine. Okay, I've got all my sandpapers already. I know my balcony is a mess. I need to clean it up really, but I will do that once I have finished everything. But for the moment, it's fine. Yeah. Sandpapers. Yeah. 100 grit. 100 grit to get this good buffing. Give the paint something really good to stick onto. Takes the shininess off them and just gets them ready for primer. Get through the back. So the glue's going to hold everything down. So all the buttons get. I'm not too worried. It's supposed to be a battle hardened clone, so it does bound to be some wear and tear on his costume, on his armour should I say, and all the parts. Now this part of the costume is actually quite kind of controversial. The reason being is because it is known as the thermal detonator. It has never been seen used. It was used in the Clone Wars animation cartoon series, where R2-D2 throws one down a shaft in a crashed Republican cruiser to kill Boba Fett, who is revenging his father, to try and save the life of Anakin and Mace Windu. That's the only time that they actually indicate that it is a thermal detonator. In some of the manuals, costume manuals, they have referred to it as other things. I had one scene it referred to as a oxygen tank. So it has been known to many things, and on the new First Order ones, it doesn't look like they can be removed at all. So I don't know if it's any longer a thermal detonator, but I'm sure most Star Wars fans would still refer to it as a thermal detonator. Now you're probably wondering why I haven't cut these bits off yet. The reason being is I'm going to use them when I'm spray painting to hold them. And then also then when I put the piece together, I have heard of people putting rubber bands around them, connecting them inside so they're not actually glued and can be opened again if needed to access bolts on the inside. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet or not. I might do. So I decided I would keep them on for the time being. Might be a fun thing to do. I've had somebody tell me that this should be the right diameter for a soda can, and you can then store soda cans in them when you're trooping. How true that is, I don't know. I don't think my one is the right dimensions for a soda can, but it would definitely be the right dimensions for a can of coffee here in Japan. And the vending machines would definitely fit into one of those. So, yeah. Now I'm very lucky. We're having another heat wave here in Japan like we did last year, but my balcony that I do all my work on is not in the sun, as you can see. Humidity is still very high. Actually, it's not too bad today compared to yesterday and the other days. It might be getting a little bit cooler now, but I'm very blessed that I don't have this balcony is not in the sun. And so now I can go and sit out like this and prep all my work I'm going to be doing. All the pieces done. I'm going to go over tube now with some 1000 grit. Polish it up a bit. Smooth out any of the rough scratches that I might have done. Now I could have just used the 1000 grit on it from the very beginning, but I do think that these tubes are a bit shiny, and I do want the paint to stick very well onto it, so that's the reason why. And also I really wanted to buffer down the numbers that are printed on this. Yeah, that's good. There we have it. Now before I start spray painting these, I will need to wash them and clean them. Okay. But just to let you know, the primer I'm using for these is Tamiya surface primer, fine surface primer for plastic and metal. Okay, now it's in pink. I would love to have got the grey one, but unfortunately this was the only one left in the store. I find it very hard to get any type of surface primer here in Japan, doesn't matter what the make it is. I don't know if it's just the area I'm living in. I'm sure if I go into the big cities like Osaka or something like that, I might be able to pick them up a lot easier, but for locally it's really hard for me to find primer paint. Even in DIY stores they just don't seem to stock primer paint. Why, I don't know. So when I seen this, I bought it because I don't care if it's pink, we're going to paint over it anyway. Some people will tell you, yeah, you should have a good undercoat to match the right colour, the top coat you're going to do. But well, let's see how the pink goes. This one cost me with tax 691 yen, which works out at about 4-5 euros, give or take. People are probably going to say to me, Daniel, why don't you then just buy online? Again, by the time I pay for the shipping through Amazon or something like that, it's going to double the price. Why would I want to do that when I can just, if I can get it, I can get it. Okay. Next time I head into Osaka, I'll have to stock up on some undercoat paint, because perma paint, because I use it a lot. To do a lot of painting, so I should stock up on it. I just haven't had the money or the time to do that. And actually, I haven't been into Osaka for a very long time. The last time I was in there was actually for business, so I didn't have time. Okay, so I'm going to get back to you now once I have washed these up. Right, okay, let's get the undercoat on. I'll always give it a good shake. I've set up a system to hold these up while they dry, and then I've got my stuff. I've got the whole, so I'm putting my mask on before I forget. I am outdoors, but still keep the particles down as much as we can. Yeah. This is very good shape. That should do it. That's going to stand that now. There we go. That should do it. I don't see any drips. I'll leave this for a while now and let it dry. It should dry pretty quickly in this heat. That's going to be about 20-30 minutes maybe. Give it an hour and we'll see how it goes. I've got some white gloss left. I might give the end caps a quick coat today. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so here you are. As you can see, it is all finished. It's all ready to be weathered now. Glued it on. I actually then used a filler to fill in the gap around the edges, so it's all sealed in nicely. I did have a bit of problem painting the resin casts. Now, that's my fault. That has nothing to do with the resin casts themselves. I am not used to painting resin, and I thought by just giving it a good undercoat paint with the Tamiya undercoat that it would be fine then for spraying painting. But it didn't seem to work. I was having problems with my white paint attaching to the primer. Now, I don't know why that was. I haven't got a clue, but I solved it very simply by then going in with some acrylic paint and hand painting it white, giving it a good base coat, and then coming back and hitting it with the spray can, and it seems to have worked out fine. I've had no problems with it. Okay. These are the attachment points which I'm going to use to screw this to the silicone belt that I have. Sorry, rubber belt, not silicone, rubber belt, and that will keep it from falling off. Now, if you can see a little bit here, I didn't sand it down too much because it's really not going to be seen, but I did make a mess of it trying to figure out where the screw points were going to go. Okay, I was hoping to give it more connection points than just these two in the center. I was hoping to have it kind of along the side as well, but it just didn't work, because it was just pulling the belt, sorry, pulling the detonator to one side when it was on the belt, so I needed it to sit flush and straight, so I ended up with those two. So as you can see here, that's where my two screws are, and this whole belt then is just velcroed on with heavy industrial velcro all the way around, and the detonator will screw straight onto that. Now, I haven't put it on yet because I need to weather it, but once I have, then it'll be ready to go. Okay, these things are pretty simple to put together. It's nothing too difficult at all. Okay, get it into focus, there you go. But yeah, it's not too difficult to get going. Okay, it should be fine. These do look a little bit dark. I don't know why. They've had lots of spray paint on it, but I'm not too worried, because once I put a black wash over this and put on the different dirt and everything else and grind build up,
you're not going to notice it because it's going to be manky. It's going to be really dirty. Okay. As regards to the belt, I've actually screwed the front of it onto the belly armour as well, so it kind of stops it from slipping down. I know it's going to be fit on perfectly every time, but there's the rest of my armour. I'm practically finished now. Not much more to do.
Right, okay, so we have finished weathering the detonator pack, and I'm going to show you now. Okay, so here she is, all weathered up. I've tried to make it look like it's been dirtied and got splashed with mud and stuff from Geonosis to go with the rest of my costume. Okay, it might be a bit too heavy. I might have to lighten it up a bit, but I can do that once it's on as well, so I don't mind. But yeah, and so that's going to screw in onto these two. I have 2 screws here. I've got 2 holes at the back, and basically it's going to screw on like so. I've got some rivets that will go on the inside because I still haven't glued these down yet, so the rivets will go in into the inside. As I said before, I had made lots and lots of holes, lots of mistakes, and I've covered them up now, sanded them down, and as I said, you wouldn't notice it now. And once it's on, they're going to be out of sight, so you're not going to notice them. So I'm going to get this on now, and then I'll bring you back and show you how it looks all set up on the belt. Okay, right, and there you have it. That's it put on. Okay, so there we go. Just going to peel back, and as you can see, I just have it screwed in, and there's nuts down on the inside to hold everything fastened. And as you can see, it's got industrial Velcro all over it. I'm just going to add Velcro over it, and that's it. There's a little seam line, but from distance you're not going to see that. There you go, that's my detonator all done. So there you have it. That's the detonator all done up and put onto my belt. I would like to thank Dino from Sanotized Creations very much for all his help and his great customer care. Without him, I wouldn't have my shoulder straps, my elbow straps, my knee straps, and now my beautiful detonator that's attached to my belt. I'm just so sad that he didn't have the belts on offer at the time that I was getting mine, but do check him out. Check out his Facebook page. He does some other awesome great stuff as well for clones. He also does some amazing helmets that you can either buy as raw casts and then decorate yourself, or you can ask him to paint them up for you, and he does an amazing job. I know he's helping the German garrisons a lot with their clone stuff and their clone armor and their bits and pieces. He's really good at what he's doing. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope it helps you out. Please check out my Facebook page as well. On there I will actually put up pictures of the stuff that I'm doing as I'm doing them, and also other stuff that will be coming up in the next few months as well, so you can actually see them before anybody else here on YouTube by checking out my Facebook page. So do go over there and like and subscribe, as well as hitting the like and subscribe button here as well. That really helps me a lot. If you want to be a Patreon as well, you can leave a donation in the basically my PayPal. All information is in the comments box below. Okay, that's it, and as always, may the force be with you, and we'll see you in the next video shortly.